Hey everyone, thank you for watching. Today's video is going to be all about my top favorite face palettes. This video has been requested for so long, so I am so excited to finally share all of my favorite face palettes. I have both affordable and high-end in here, so if you want to see some of my favorite face palettes, why don't we go ahead and get started. Okay, so like I said, this video has been requested for so long, so thank you to everyone who's been so excited about seeing this video. I'm a huge face palette lover, so I'm really excited to share some of my favorites here. I will say that I wanted to do like my top 10 favorite face palettes or something like that, and I believe I pulled out all of my favorites and I had 12 of them, and I stared really hard and I was like, take away 2, and I just couldn't. So I'm pretty sure it's 12 that we have to chat about, so I'm just gonna call this my top favorite face palettes because I couldn't narrow it down. Jump into some affordable ones. This one here is from e.l.f. and this is a face duo. The one I pulled out here is St Lucia, and they also have their formula of this one. It's called their Aqua face duos or whatnot. I have one of those as well, but I really prefer these like kind of straight powder ones, and I feel like they last a little bit longer. The ones that are the Aqua formula, I felt like it kind of went bad fairly quickly, but this one is in St Lucia, so it's a really nice compact. You get a great mirror here, and then you have a bronzer, and you could either use this as like a highlight or really kind of light, almost kind of peachy blush. I use it for both myself, highlight and blush, but I really enjoy the bronzer in here. This one in St Lucia I think would definitely be better for a lighter skin tone, but they do have other options as well. And these are only $4. $4 for these. I mean, that is so affordable, and especially once you get a mirror in it, I'm just like, yeah. These are fantastic. I would love to have more of them. Like I said, I have 2, one from the Aqua collection as well, but I would really, really recommend these. Another palette that I absolutely love and I have repurchased is from Wet n Wild, and this is their Mega Glow Contouring Palette. I bought one of these from, I think it was like CVS. They're about $5, I believe it is, and it actually broke on me when I was traveling one time. I must have dropped my bag too heavily or something, but it broke, and I was so devastated. I went right back out, like, I mean, literally, like within like 3 days, and bought me a new one because I was like, no, this has to be my collection. Luckily, it is only $5, so it's not a bad price at all to replace them, and I get mine in Dulce de Leche. I believe they have one other shade as well, but this is a really wonderful setting powder, and it's kind of a brightening powder. I do like to have brighter under eyes most of the time, so I really enjoy this powder. But this is also a really, really nice contour or bronzer shade. I really enjoy both of these. You get really nice pan sizes, and again, for $5, I always want this in my collection. Next up, I have a palette that unfortunately is broken, and I will be getting a new one of these. This is from Flower Beauty, and this is called their Lift and Sculpt Contouring Palette, and I have mine in the shades medium to deep. So inside you do get a bronzer, which has shattered, a blush, and then a highlight. So I can't open it because it is shattered, and I can't use, even though only the bronzer shattered, it's still like affecting the blush and the highlight. So I do just need to go ahead and declutter this, but I wanted to save it for this video, and then I do want to repurchase a new one. I'm really excited because Flower Beauty is coming into Ulta. I feel like I've been waiting for this day. I recommend so much from Flower Beauty. I really enjoy a lot from that brand. So when I saw the announcement that they're coming into Ulta, I was like, yes. I'm not sure what all products will be going into Ulta, but I sincerely hope that this one is included because I will be repurchasing this one. The bronzer is beautiful, the blush is gorgeous, and the highlight is the standout from this palette. It is a beautiful gold highlight, and I absolutely loved it. I believe this is $14, so we're getting a little bit higher than the e.l.f. and the Wet n Wild, but it is still a gorgeous palette. And yeah, if you haven't seen that Flower Beauty's coming yet, I can't think of the exact date off the top of my head, but it's coming soon, and I am really excited because otherwise you can just find these at Walmart or Flower Beauty online. So happy about that. And then last up for my affordable face palettes that I love, this one is from Pixi Beauty, and it's in collaboration with Maryam NYC. I really enjoy this palette, and I've talked about it quite a bit. I believe it was mentioned in my 2016 Best of Beauty video, but inside you do get 6 different shades and you get an array of colors. I use these 2 as bronzer shades. Neither one is a fantastic contour shade for me, but I'll kind of go back and forth depending on typically the season or if I'm self-tanned. I'll use one of those as a bronzer, but all of these highlights are really, really nice, especially this gold highlight. It is stunning. So I really enjoyed this palette. It is $20. Pixi Beauty is still considered affordable, but they're like on the higher end of affordable. So it is $20, but if you can can find it at Target for like a discount, or using your red card or something like that, you can save a little bit, but I do highly recommend these. There are 2 palettes of these, and this one is the Glow and Bronze palette from Pixi and the Maryam NYC collab. Okay, so moving along, I do have a palette here that is no longer available that I could find online, but it's still one of my absolute favorites, so I did want to mention it in case maybe you ever see it at like a Kohl's or, you know, TJ Maxx or anything like that. But this is from Lorac, and it's the collaboration with Beauty and the Beast. So you get 3 different blushes in here and a gold highlight. You also do have a mirror, and I love this. I take this traveling with me so often. I think all of the blushes are super, super beautiful, and again, that gold highlight is stunning. I enjoy the mirror in here. I will say that I also really enjoy the face palette from the Lorac and Pirates of the Caribbean collection. I like this one even more, and since they're both limited edition and basically like impossible to find right now, I thought I would just mention this one as my absolute fave. But I know some people are saying they're finding the Pirates of the Caribbean collection still available at like in Kohl's stores or at TJ Maxx or Nordstrom Rack or something like that. So if you see it, and especially if it's a discounted price and you see the face palette, one of my favorites. This one is kind of random and something that I don't think I expected to love as much as I did. But when I was pulling out all of my favorite face palettes, this was one of the first ones that I reached for. I was like, yeah, no, I absolutely love this one. This one is from Tarte. It's the Tarte Contour Volume 3 palette. So it looks like this, and then inside you do get a mirror and then a variety of different shades here. I typically use this one as a contour shade and this one as a bronzer. I love the blush in here, and both the highlights are absolutely gorgeous. This shade is the only one that's a little bit too dark for me that I really can't use, but otherwise, this is an awesome palette. And again, I take this traveling with me so much because I love having all of the different shades in here that I need. It's easy to travel with, like it's kind of bigger, but it's still compact at the same time. You have the mirror. This highlight especially, I do think is really, really gorgeous. I reached for this one even over that one, but I love the blush in here as well. It's a nice neutral kind of pink blush. Reminds me a little bit of Parte from Tarte Cosmetics, and yeah, I love having the bronzer and contour. So this is a big favorite. I did a lot of traveling this summer and I took this one quite a bit with me. This one is available on the Tarte website and it's pretty heavily discounted. I want to say I saw it for like $27 and it's normally like $45. So I will link this one to the Tarte website down below in case you were interested in picking it up because it is on sale right now. And then the other palette that this was with me every single time I left my house this summer practically, and you shouldn't be surprised if you follow my channel. This is from Pur Cosmetics, and this one is the Goal Digger palette. It's called their Vanity palette, and I really enjoyed this because you do get some eyeshadows over here, but truly I love this as a face palette because this bronzer, this blush, and this highlight are they are key and I love them. I also love the packaging of this one, that you can pop it up and make it into a vanity. That's why it's called the Vanity palette. It was so handy to have when we were busy bees this summer. We were constantly gone, and this was so nice to throw in my bag. Again, like really easy to travel with, having the mirror, the vanity, and these face shades that I love so much. This highlight is especially really, really gorgeous. I did just mention these in my underrated makeup video, and I know a lot of people said you went over to the Pur website to buy them, and it looks like they are being like really discounted in price. So I think they're going to be discontinued fairly soon. They used to be on the Ulta website and they're not any longer. So if you want to get these, I would highly recommend them. And I did notice that this one in particular, the Goal Digger, is discounted on the Pur Cosmetics website as well. They're normally $36 and I think this one is on sale right now for $25. So if this looks like something you'd be interested in, I highly recommend getting it for even a discount. I think that's freaking awesome. But I mean, you guys knew I was gonna mention that palette. What I want to talk about is one that I guess is gone now. It's being discontinued, or it is discontinued. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but this is the Tarte Clay Play 1 palette. And I feel like me and a lot of other people are very upset that this one was suddenly just swept under the rug, like just gone. I think it's no longer available on Ulta or Sephora. I don't think it's available on the Tarte website anymore. They recently came out with the Clay Play 2. If you haven't seen my video yet, I did an Ulta haul and try on video, and I used the Clay Play 2 in there, and I gave you a lot of my thoughts on this. But the original Clay Play palette is the freaking bomb. and I'm really upset that it has been discontinued because it truly is an amazing palette. I mean, this one is an eyeshadow palette as well, but I really enjoy it for these face shades also. This I use as my contour and this I use as my bronzer, and I highly enjoy this palette. I did want to mention that I do feel like it's more eyeshadow palette versus face palette, but I reach for this so often for those contour and bronzer shades that I still wanted to mention it as a face palette. But I'm just really disappointed that it's been discontinued. I felt like a lot of people really enjoyed this palette. I don't understand what Tarte was doing or thinking with the Clay Play 2. Very confusing, but like I said, I do go more in depth in a different video about it, so I'll have it linked down below. But I love this palette. For some reason you can find it anywhere or you see it somewhere, I highly recommend it. The shades were really nice and pigmented, but very easy to blend at the same time. This went traveling with me all summer long as well. I loved the big mirror that I got. It was just something that I could pull out and easily create any sort of look with. So that one really bums me out, but I felt like I still wanted to mention it because it truly is a favorite face palette of mine. And then next up we have one, I believe this one is limited edition as well because it was a holiday release, but this is from Becca Cosmetics. It's the Apres Ski Glow Face Palette. I absolutely adore this palette. I've mentioned it in favorites videos. I mentioned it in makeup I don't regret buying and all of that, but truly one of my favorite face palettes, and I get use out of every single shade in here. A lot of times with face palettes, especially when there's, you know, more than 2 or 3 shades, it's just kind of impossible to get a use for every single shade. There's gonna be that 1 or maybe that 2 that just don't work for you, don't work for your skin tone, you don't love it, maybe it's not as good as the other shades, etc. All of these shades in here are phenomenal, and I can use all of them in different ways. I love the highlights in here, I love layering the highlights in here, I love the blush. I'm so shocked I have not hit pan on that bronzer because it's called the Bondi Bronzer, I believe, or the Bronze Bondi Bronzer. There we go. So the Rose Quartz highlight in here, this one right here, one of my favorites. Sorry, the packaging is so reflective, it's hard, but I love this palette. Again, goes traveling with me all the time. I love that I can get a use out of every single shade in here, and I just think it is the bomb. It's $54, but I have seen it on sale quite a bit recently, so if you can get it on sale, I'd recommend it, but I still think it's worth the $54. Honestly, in my opinion, at least to me, it was worth that price tag, and it's definitely a favorite. The final 3 I have, this one is a bit newer to me, but I reach for this consistently, and I believe it was mentioned in maybe like my November makeup monthly in the favorite section. This is also from Pur, and this is the Contour Diaries, and I really like it. You do have a mirror, and then you have these different face shades inside. The 3 that I use the most are Charm, which I use for underneath the eyes, Secret I use as my contour shade, and then Passion I use as my bronzer shade, and I reach for this all of the time. It's really easy to take traveling with me as well, and I just think that they're really nice, pigmented, blendable, you know, all of that good stuff that we look for in a face palette. So I really do enjoy this one. I believe it is $32 on the Pur website, so would highly recommend that one. And then the last 2 are pretty like high-end products. This one is from Marc Jacobs, and I have to say, I did not expect to love this palette as much as I did. I feel like so many Marc Jacobs products, I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll like it, and then I end up falling in love. It has happened with me so many times with Marc Jacobs. This is called the High Filter palette. It says hashtag Instamark, and it says this is number 60. My friend Candace did send this to me, and I was so excited when I got it because I had eyed these. I heard people talking about them. A lot of people compared these and the Wet n Wild palette that I mentioned a little bit earlier. You know, they're similar in packaging and all of that, but the price tag is very different, where the Wet n Wild is $5. This one I believe is $49. So big difference there. You do get a nice big mirror with this one, and I will say that I enjoy the bronzer, and I thought that I was going to. I really love bronzer, I love contour, I love all of that, so I was like, yes, I'm going to love this bronzer, but I actually enjoy the setting powder even more. It's a very interesting color because it's not super light, but it's also not really yellow, which I don't like a ton of yellow on my under eyes. It's just this kind of like in-between color that works really well for me. But how it says it's the, what's it say, filter, hi-fi filter. I truly believe that that is what my under eyes look like when I put this powder on. It just kind of smooths everything away. It almost like lifts the under eye area. I mean, it looks so good. I can pair this with really any of my concealers, and I know that my under eye area is going to look so good. So really this palette has me sold for this half, but again, you are getting a really nice bronzer over here as well. I believe they have different shades in these palettes as well, but like I said, they're $49, but wow, I mean, I'm telling you, did not expect to fall in love with it. I believe this was also mentioned in a favorites video because dang, it's really good. And then the last one I have is from Kevyn Aucoin, who is definitely, you know, high-end luxury price tag, but I reach for this all the time. I'm always talking about this palette, and this is the Kevyn Aucoin. It is called the Contour Book Volume 2, The Art of Sculpting and Defining. So inside you do get a mirror, and it's kind of interesting too because when you first open it up, if I can get there, it actually has like a little like diagram for you, like maybe if you're a newbie or you're not exactly sure where everything goes, it kind of has like a face chart here and an eye chart here, and it'll spell it out for you, which I thought was pretty cool. And then inside you do get a mirror, but you get a cream contour, and then you also get the sculpting powder, which the sculpting powder is a lot of people's holy grails, including myself. I love the sculpting powder so freaking much, it's crazy. And then you get a cream highlight, a powder highlight, and then you do get eye shades as well. So this is really kind of one of those complete palettes that I enjoy so much. The star of the show to me is definitely the sculpting powder. To buy the sculpting powder by itself, I want to say is like $49 or something like that. So I think it's really cool that for $65 you get the sculpting powder, you also get a cream contour, you get 2 different highlight shades, and then you can also create, you know, a nice kind of neutral eye look as well in this palette. I just reach for it so often. Again, the sculpting powder is like the #1 for me. So, you know, maybe if you just want to try the sculpting powder, you could purchase that one separately, but I think the book is also a really good value. I know $65 is like a high price tag when I say 65, but when you think of everything that you're kind of getting in here, I feel like it is a really good value. And Kevyn Aucoin is one of those brands as well that has so many products that I just instantly fall for, and I'm just like, these are great quality. So I did want to mention this one. It truly is just one of my favorites. I'm using it all the time. I feel like I'm consistently tagging Kevyn Aucoin sculpting powder on my Instagram, so I really do enjoy that one. But after that, that is going to be it for my top favorite face palettes. Okay, guys, so that is everything for my favorite face palettes. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and seeing some of my all-time favorite face palettes. I would love to know some of yours in the comments down below, of course, or also did we have anything in common? Do you love any of the ones that I mentioned? I would love to know. Thank you guys so much for requesting this video. If you do have any other video requests, please do let me know, and I would be happy to get that on my list. But of course, if you guys did enjoy this video, I hope that you will give it a thumbs up. I hope that you will also consider subscribing before you go, and I'll catch you guys in tomorrow's video.